done for today.
From iHeart Podcast, Supreme, The Battle for Roe tells the story of the unlikely champions behind the landmark case Roe v. Wade, starring Maya Hawke as 26-year-old lead attorney Sarah Weddington
for challenging the Texas abortion laws in federal court,
and Academy Award nominee William H. Macy as Supreme Court Justice Harry Blackmun.
Time is not the most important factor. Getting it right is.
Listen to the podcast Supreme, The Battle for Roe on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Here's something every football fan should know. You can get anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. Well, almost anything, because you can't get your dream running back for your fantasy team delivered with Uber Eats, but they will deliver flapjacks, tacos, and six-packs. Great pass protection? No. Great pizza selection? Yes. Championship defense? No. Deodorant? Yes. Turnovers? No. Turnovers the pastry? Yes, because that's groceries. You can get those delivered with Uber Eats too, and food from your favorite restaurants and other essentials. So this season, get anything, well, almost anything for game day by ordering on the Uber Eats app. Uber Eats, an official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details.
Mr. Wonderful here, and I know for small business times are tough. Is there a solution? Yes. The Government Employee Retention Credit Program. It supports small business even if you received a PPP loan. Eligible companies can receive up to $26,000 per W-2 employee. The application is complicated, so I set up WonderTrust.com, a team of live experts you can trust to guide you through filing for the ERC. Go to WonderTrust.com today. That's WonderTrust.com.
Here's something every football fan should know. You can get anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. Well, almost anything, because you can't get your dream running back for your fantasy team delivered with Uber Eats, but they will deliver flapjacks, tacos, and six-packs. Great pass protection? No. Great pizza selection? Yes. Championship defense? No. Deodorant? Yes. Turnovers? No. Turnovers the pastry? Yes, because that's groceries. You can get those delivered with Uber Eats too, and food from your favorite restaurants and other essentials. So this season, get anything, well, almost anything for game day by ordering on the Uber Eats app. Uber Eats, an official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Alcohol in select markets. Product availability may vary by region. See app for details. Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joey P, Joe P. Zapia, and it's Monday. You know what that means. It's time to get back to the waiver wire for Week 3 in the NFL. Can you imagine? We're here already. I know we got a couple Monday night games left to play, so I'm sure some more waiver wire news will be breaking, but that's okay. We'll be here Tuesday on the live stream on our YouTube channel as well to help us break down the guys that are available, who to pick up, who to drop. Of course, Pat Fitzmaurice is back yet again with us, and Andrew Erickson stepping in to help us find some names to roster this week. We've got a lot, but speaking of things we've got a new sponsor on the show today, which is really exciting.
Because that's Monday,
sponsor, of course,
because you're on your own
Hookah
Monday.
Juice. Take a look on it right here. There it is, Hookah Juice. Thanks to Pat Fitzmaurice, an amazing moment last week on the show. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can see if you are thirsty for receptions and fantasy points, try Hookah Juice. This is your target whenever you're looking to target that thirst quench that you have. It's delicious. I've been drinking it all week. Pat, you've got to be really pleased. Let's talk about Puka Nakua. While I have a little of the Puka Juice myself here, that, again, Pat Fitzmaurice endorses the Puka Juice. I'm going to drink the Puka Juice. It's delicious.
Oh, man, and it comes in a pouch. I haven't had a juice pouch since grade school.
Pouch. See, Puka knows what he's doing. Puka puts the juice in the pouch. He says, here, take this with you on the go. It's so good. Certainly from a fantasy perspective, it was pretty good, Pat. We're looking up here, what was it, like 25 receptions, 260-plus yards here in a couple of weeks. That's not too shabby, eh?
I know, not bad at all, Joe. And unfortunately, there's no Puka Juice for us to hawk on the show this week. But, you know, if only the Rams had some other wide receiver who was worthy of our fab dollars. Oh, wait, maybe they do.
Yeah, they might have a running back, too, that is already highly rostered. But apparently Cam Akers and Sean McVay in the month of September, Andrew Erickson, the saga continues. So we're going to have to go to that. Erickson, what did you think of that news when that broke yesterday?
I mean, fool me once, shame on me. I don't know. What do you want me to do? Like, it's one of those things where it's like you could have seen this coming from a mile away, and it's like I wanted to believe, and then started to kind of get a little bit shaky on Akers as Kyron Williams wasn't also playing in the preseason. So I was like, all right, maybe I should back off a little bit of Cam Akers. So I didn't have as much of Cam Akers' exposure as I probably had in the middle of the offseason. So I'm glad I backed off a little bit. But it's just an unfortunate situation. It seems like they just have this beef that we don't know. I hope that Cam Akers writes something in the Players Tribune that we can read and we can figure out, like, what happened. I just want to know at this point. Like, please, just tell me what he did, like, what caused the disconnect, because there have been really great highs with Cam Akers and Sean McVay, and then there's just, like, bottom lows where it's like 1 minute he's going to get 25 carries in a game, and the next he's on the trade block and is inactive. I just don't. Even Cam Akers tweeted out, he's like, I don't know, guys. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So, like, maybe he doesn't know. I don't know, but let's see him just get on a different team, just get another opportunity, just so we can use him.
Well, let's see who can use this week in the waiver wire. Last week, obviously, some expensive guys. We talked about Gus Edwards. He came through. That was a positive. Puka, obviously, very expensive. The Puka juice was not cheap, let me tell you. This one pouch, Pat, this was like $49 fab dollars this cost. It was a lot to just get this pouch.
It's the Dom Perignon of juice, Joe.
It really is. It's the Chris Dahl of snack pack stuff. But this week, we're going to go right back to that waiver wire because we might have a running back trending in the right direction. Our sleeper waiver wire pick of the week, Roschon Johnson. He is rostered in 51% of leagues right now. That number is climbing. Deonta Foreman was a healthy scratch this week. Now, I know the Bears are 0-2, and they do not look good. But Pat Fitzmaurice, I think we got to start here with Roschon because we were saying in the offseason, this seems like the most talented back in this backfield. Over time, he's going to win out. But it seems like maybe that win might be looking sooner, like it's going to be end of September, maybe not end of October. I understand the Bears situation is fluid. It's still kind of weird. Khalil Herbert still the lead guy, theoretically. But in your opinion, with him available in half of leagues, should people be aggressive on Roschon Johnson this week?
I think so, Joe. It seemed like this was going to be a murky three-way backfield all year, but now they apparently have soured on Deonta Foreman, and I think Roschon's skill set sort of takes away the need for them to have Foreman. Like, Roschon can do everything Foreman can do, and he's a lot better in the passing game. Foreman's just a complete non-entity as a pass catcher. Now, they still used Khalil Herbert a lot yesterday, but the Bears' offense just isn't working. So maybe they need to change their identity a little bit, and maybe that means, like, aggressively using Roschon in the running game a little bit more, because I think there's just too much on Fields' plate right now. And I'm not making excuses for Justin Fields. He's been pretty horrible so far. But
don't throw screen passes on your own 5-yard line in the end of the game. Don't do that. That's a bad look.
Yeah, this team they need like an in-season offensive makeover. And I wonder if Roschon Johnson might be a big part of that.
Erickson, in terms of fab, is Roschon somebody you're going to be aggressive on? Like, what kind of percentage would you be looking at? Because to Pat's point, they need a new identity. Roschon could be that guy. And certainly, nothing's working right now, so you might as well try to find something else that might be able to work. Is Roschon that piece that could change things for the Bears offense?
I mean, I just think that the ground game in general, like, I know that everyone wants to just put Roschon as RB1, but, like, Khalil Herbert has been just as good. Like, he's been fine. Like, what is he supposed to do? He got 7 carries. Like, what is he supposed to do? He had 35 rushing yards. Like, that's a pretty good yards per carry. Rushed for 3 first downs. Like, they need to run the ball more overall. So, yeah, I think Roschon is still, like, I definitely want him to have on my bench. But unless Khalil Herbert gets hurt, like, I still don't see Roschon as becoming RB1. He's going to get 20 touches per game. Like, I like Roschon as a prospect, but I am not writing off Khalil Herbert as a super explosive rusher that is still not getting enough volume. Like, he's really not. Like, even last year, when he was starting games over David Montgomery, like, he was more productive. But he's not getting enough touches either. So they need to dial back the passing game, the pass attempts, and get back to running the football if this Bears offense is going to have any type of success moving the ball. So for me, Roschon's probably more in that 10% range. I do like him having on my bench, but he's still the backup running back on the Bears offense. Like, don't get that twisted. Like, that's the thing, and that how encouraging is that for fantasy football? Like, maybe not that great unless Herbert gets hurt.
All right, so you're at 10%. What fab are you at for Roschon, Fitz?
I'm a little higher. I'm at like 16%. And, in our weekly waiver article, we recommend 3 different bids for people on players. We have a true value bid, and I think the true value of Roschon is probably about where Erickson has him at 10%. But I just don't think 10% is going to win him in most leagues.
Right.
So then we have sort of a desperate need bid. Like if you really need help at running back, what would you bid? And I think for Roschon, like it's the desperate need is maybe closer to 20 or at least upper teens for percent of your fab bid. And then we also have like, the low ball bid where you're just throwing something out there and maybe you can get them, but you're really not expecting to. So for that, maybe if you throw out a $6 bid, I don't think anyone's going to be asleep on Roschon at this point. But yeah, so for me, I'm at about 16%.
Okay, about 16 there for Pat, 10 for Erickson when it comes to Roschon. So once again, look at the circumstances of your team and what your needs are and try to figure that out, how to bid for your specific rosters. Now, one guy that we know is already rostered everywhere is Tyreek Hill, and we told everybody we were giving away that jersey this past week from bettingpros.com, and we are today the big winner, Seth Batista. Congratulations, Seth. Take a victory lap. You are the winner. Get in touch with us over on customer support agents at mailbag@fantasypros.com. Again, that's mailbag@fantasypros.com with your mailing address and proof of your subscription to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel, and we will get that jersey shipped out to you. Again, Seth Batista, congratulations. You're the big winner. Hit us up, mailbag@fantasypros.com. Also, we got a new jersey coming your way. So from one big dog wide receiver to another, coming off a really good game in week 2. How about Deebo Samuel of the San Francisco 49ers? That's right, this jersey can be yours, courtesy of Betting Pros. All you got to do is drop a comment below, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Fantasy Pros. That's it. Boom. You are entered to win. We're giving away these amazing jerseys all season long. But don't forget, click that little bell till it goes ding so you know every time a piece of content drops. And if you are the big winner of the Deebo Samuel jersey, let's keep going on with the waiver wire. And as Pat mentioned, that waiver wire article is up already. We are always first to market, ready to rock and roll on the waiver wire. Let's talk about Zach Moss. Andrew Erickson, 56% rostered. Again, this guy is right on that precipice. Sometimes we don't talk about the players this highly rostered, but it's early yet, so we want to make sure that we are doing our due diligence. So, Erickson, when it comes to Moss and the situation here with Indianapolis, especially with Anthony Richardson now with the concussion being questionable heading into week 3, how do you approach Zach Moss's waiver wire value?
I want him. He played 98% of the snaps in week 2. Like that is unheard of usage for a running back coming off a broken arm. Like, come on. And he was productive with the touches that he got. So I would rather have him than Roschon because he's the starting running back. And we saw with Gardner Minshew, him coming in here, he was fine. Gardner Minshew's been a professional quarterback in the NFL for multiple years. If I was the Jets, I'd be like, hey man, how can we get Gardner Minshew over here ASAP Rocky? So for me, I think Moss is the guy that you want if you need to start your running back to plug in your lineup in week 3. I'm not sure what the matchup is, who the Colts are playing, but I think that Moss, just given the floor and volume that he's seeing in that offense that doesn't really have a lot of playmakers, they want to run the football, especially if Richardson has to miss. So for me, it's Zach Moss because we still have 2 weeks away from Jonathan Taylor coming back, and who knows when he actually is eligible to come back off the PUP, if he's actually going to end up playing, given the contract, good negotiations. So I like Zach Moss a lot.
All right. How much do you like him in terms of fab spend, Erickson?
Well, 16% seems like a good number to get to be aggressive, as Pat kind of alluded to with Roschon, so I'll say 16% for Zach Moss.
All right. Do you feel the same way as Erickson when it comes to Zach Moss, Fitz?
Yeah, and boy, it's interesting. I think Cam Akers and Deion Jackson are going to be playing gin rummy together all week because Deion Jackson, talk about having the rug pulled out from underneath you. He's starting in week 1 with Moss still recovering from his broken arm, and then he is just a non-factor. As Erickson mentioned, Moss played all but 1 offensive snap for the Colts yesterday. So the only issue with Moss is that he's definitely a Band-Aid. He's got a 2-week window because Jonathan Taylor, we had a report, I think it was last week, that Jonathan Taylor was expected to pass a physical and report as soon as he was eligible to come off IR in week 5. And as soon as Taylor's back, Moss, his fantasy value turns to dust. So, but we do have 2 weeks where we're going to get heavy Zach Moss usage. So I think you have to calibrate this. If you have an urgent need, if you are, for instance, a Saquon Barkley stakeholder and very likely looking at not having him for at least a week, maybe two weeks or longer, yeah, then I'd be bid aggressively on Moss. I think 16, 18% would be warranted. But for longer-term investment, this might not be the droid you're looking for.
All right, well, let's continue to see some other droids maybe we want. Chuba Hubbard right now is 24% rostered on Sleeper, Fitz, this offense we don't have necessarily the most hope in so far. I think we were clear about that in the offseason, but we're also looking at trying to get more running back depth. So how do you approach Hubbard, who seems like he might be one of these pieces that as the season goes on, he could prove to be a little bit more valuable?
Yeah, I'd be willing to go up to maybe, 8 or 9% for him. I think he's a good guy to add if you have an overall depth problem at running back, because I think he could be sort of a spackle back for you who can have a little bit of playability every week. If you've got a hole to patch, you're not going to be super excited about Chuba Hubbard, maybe his, 6 to 8 weekly PPR points, but it's better than nothing. And there's also a little bit of lottery ticket value, because if anything were to happen to Miles Sanders, Chuba's value would certainly spike.
All right, Howard Erickson, where you're talking about Chuba Hubbard, same thing. Pat mentions the potential for spike in value. Is now a good time to maybe bid on him, and if so, how much?
Yeah, I think that he's probably somebody you can get probably pretty cheap. That's probably the way I would play it. I wouldn't bid super aggressively necessarily, because I don't think you have to. You don't want to waste your valuable fab dollars. So I think for me, it's probably more in that 5% range, maybe a little bit lower, depending on how my league is aggressive on running backs. But I like how Fitz brought up, Hubbard has some standalone value, so you're not just getting zeros. It's not just a straight handcuff. So in deeper formats, if you went 0 RB, you drafted J.K. Dobbins. I'm talking about one of my teams in the FFBC right now, where I had to start some really sad running backs this week. I wish I had Chuba Hubbard on my team, but that would be the approach I would use with Hubbard. I think that he does have some intrinsic upside.
So you're like, what, the 3% range? Is that where you're at?
Yeah, I just don't think people are super on Chuba Hubbard, especially hasn't played, in week 2 yet. So I think that he's someone that I would try to kind of sneakily add to the back of my bench.
He was somebody that I was sneakily drafting to all my teams too, because I just was kind of waiting out that situation. Fitz, when it comes to Moss, you mentioned kind of in that 7% range, Chuba Hubbard in the 8% range. Do you think that, I guess from those percentages, Hubbard is the better long-term investment, right, in your opinion?
Yes, definitely.
Obviously, because of JT, right?
Yeah, if JT comes back, Moss is just worth nothing. He's droppable in week 5 if JT comes back.
All right, one more guy to talk about. It's probably why everyone's screaming at us, why aren't you talking about Kyren Williams? What the hell are you guys doing? Well, we're not talking about Kyren Williams as much at the top because he's 63% rostered already on Sleeper. So when you're looking at some of these players, you have to understand that most of these guys are already on teams, so we want to make sure we're giving everybody the opportunity to look at some of the guys that are 50% or under. 63 is a pretty high roster percentage, and he was a guy we did talk about at the end of last week's show. In case you missed that, you can go back and watch. But now the circumstances, I would say, not a little bit different, but a lot of it different, because Cam Akers is the subject of trade rumors. Now, I don't know if he's in the doghouse and the trade rumors are because, or like a separate thing, or if somebody said, hey, we want Cam Akers, and the Rams said, okay, we have to sit him out because we got a potential deal. We can't have him get hurt. I don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. If only, where's NFL Insider, Andrew Erickson? Where do you, come on, Erickson. Where aren't you? Is your phone going off right now? What are you doing? Anyway, Kyren Williams, 63% roster. Here's my question to you, Erickson. How aggressive do you want to be if he's still floating around there in your league? Because, look, 40% of leagues, he's still out there.
Yeah, I would be pretty aggressive trying to get him. I'd probably even say north of 20%, 25%. He played 95% of the snaps in week 2. Sean McVay has chosen his guys. It's Puka, it's Kyren Williams, and those are the guys he's rolling with this year until they get hurt or anything like that happens. So, again, I am concerned about Kyren Williams, how long he can keep this up. He's an undersized running back who's dealt with injuries, so he's someone I almost kind of think about adding and flipping for maybe a more steady asset long term, but I still want to get him on my roster because he has a lot of value that you can get in trade or just on your roster to plug in a hole. So again, I'd rather more than Zach Moss. So I said 60% for Zach Moss. I'd probably say 25% for Kyren Williams. Again, he had 24 opportunities in week 2. No other Rams running back is playing at all in this offense. It's just Kyren Williams. And if anything, if Kyren Williams is already rostered, the next guy up is Ronnie Rivers. That's the next guy that Sean McVay has chosen for this Rams RB role, because Cam Akers is going to be out of the picture sooner rather than later. So in deeper formats, Ronnie Rivers is someone, hey, let me just throw him at the back of my bench. Ronnie Rivers had one game last year we actually saw a significant amount of work because it was his game where Sean McVay chose him to be the RB1. So I would be aggressive on Kyren Williams, and in deeper formats, Ronnie Rivers looks like the next guy up.
a fascinating situation there. So, would you be Pat number one, where Erickson is in terms of, hey, pick up Kyron Williams because he has value, and then look to flip him, and then B, is Ronnie Rivers somebody for a buck you should be sneaking underneath the waiver wire too and being really proactive?
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could do that. It does seem like Ronnie Rivers is ahead of Zach Evans, their 6th-round draft pick. So, yeah, I mean, Kyron is, I didn't ever think I would be willing to spend, 30% of my fab on Kyron Williams, who, I can remember him running the 40 at the Combine, and he was kind of a small guy to begin with, and as soon as, he clocked that 40 time, I was like, oh, boy. That does not bode well for his NFL future. Small and slow is generally not a good combination for an NFL running back. But he doesn't play all that slow. Kyron Williams looks quick enough when he plays. So and he seems to fit in with what Sean McVay wants to do on offense. They are not going to be a ground and pound team. And with Kyron, you're not really showing your hand. You can run or pass with Kyron Williams in your backfield, and maybe that's a little bit of the issue with Akers, that having him back there, it seems like it almost telegraphs the run. So I don't know. You've got a lead back floating around in some leagues. Maybe it's only 10-team leagues, but if I needed help at our running back, yeah, I would absolutely be aggressive in bidding for Kyron Williams.
All right, tell me who you're going to drop. Just say drop if you want to get rid of this player. Deion Jackson, time to drop him or hold? Fitz?
Oh, yeah, drop. Done.
Erickson, Deion Jackson, drop or hold?
Gone.
Deontay Foreman, Erickson, drop or hold?
Gone. Drop.
Fitz,
Gone.
Deontay Foreman, gone. Everyone's cleaning house. How about Rashad Penny, Fitz? You want to drop him too?
Oh man, I
mean,
feel like
Swift
this
was so good the other night. I mean, I know this is a frustrating thing.
I know Penny is just nowhere on that depth chart. But if we were to get an injury or two, we've got a guy who has been the most efficient runner in the NFL for the last 2 years, behind the best offensive line in football.
Well, you can say hold then if it's a hold. It's a hold.
I'll stash him away. If you have shallow benches and you got to move, you got to move. But if you have deeper benches, I would like to hold on to Penny a little longer.
All right, this is where Fitz is the voice of reason, and Andrew Erickson's going to say drop. Go ahead.
Drop him. He's a week away. He's a week away from a week away. When are you going to know you can start Penny? It's okay, well, Swift's got to get hurt, and then Gainwell's got to get hurt, and then Boston Scott's got, there's so many things that have to play out where, okay, now I can finally start Rashad Penny. And I just think that's not a situation I want to be in. I do want to bring up another one. I think Damian Harris is someone you can drop. He's playing behind Latavius Murray.
Yeah, that ain't good.
If someone is holding on to Damian thinking that, okay, if James Cook, it's you're just praying he scores a touchdown, which he did last week, and that's really hard to project on a week-to-week basis. So you need to make a move. I think Damian Harris, who's rostered in a decent amount of leagues, I think that he's someone I would be okay moving on from.
All right, real quick, give me the name that excites you the most on this list. Justice Hill, Tajay Spears, Matt Breida, Devon Achane, Sean Tucker. Of those guys, Erickson, who would be the one that you'd want to go after? Is it Spears?
I think for immediate production, probably be Hill, because he's the starting running back for the Ravens.
Okay.
But for long term, it would probably be Spears.
How about you, Fitz? That group, Hill, Spears, Breida, Achane, and Tucker.
Yeah.
I have to agree. I mean, as much of a fan of Devon Achane's game as I am, I don't see him getting a substantial role with the Dolphins. It just seems like maybe by the time, I don't know, Mostert. Yeah, if Mostert were to go down, I mean, Jeff Wilson's going to be back soon, and then maybe Wilson gets the bulk of the workload. So I think it's Spears. I mean, exciting lottery ticket if anything were to happen to Derrick Henry. I mean, Spears would be a guy you would want to start every week.
Right.
Yeah.
Why
he
am
looked
I an
good
idiot?
yesterday, that's
I don't
for sure.
know.
All right, football is back in full swing with another week of epic games. And who's got you covered in the action of every single one of them? DraftKings Sportsbook, that's who, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet $5 on football and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Nobody's missing out on the action this season. All DraftKings customers can take advantage of 2 offers every game day this September. So get in on the action yourself for Week 3 in the NFL with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use that promo code FANTASYPROS to sign up. New customers bet just $5 and take home $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code FANTASYPROS. Don't forget, Fantasy Pros. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY or 67369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort KS. 21 plus age varied by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See dkng.co/football for eligibility terms and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Let's see if we can get some wide receivers that might be yours this week. I want to start with a conversation about Jayden Reed. Christian Watson out again last week, Pat, for your Green Bay Packers. Jayden Reed continuing to get work in this offense. He's just 19% rostered. This is a player I picked up everywhere last couple weeks, and then this week I had to make some tough decisions, and I had to drop him in one league, and I was really mad about it, and now I'm even more mad. So what do you think about Jayden Reed? Is this a stash for a lot of people on the waiver wire they should be looking at?
Yes, I think so, Joe. Really exciting with the ball in his hands. That's the plus thing. Like, this guy can make things happen, make big plays, doesn't necessarily need a lot of touches to score a lot of fantasy points. But the one thing I'd be a little cautious about is he is their third receiver. And even with Christian Watson out, like, he has not been playing regularly in two receiver sets. So you're not going to get quite the snap participation, quite the route participation that you get with Romeo Doubs and once he's back, Christian Watson. Like, I think he's useful as maybe like a flex value type guy, but I don't know if the usage is quite attractive enough for you to like rely on him every week as a week in, week out starter.
So like a 5% kind of bid on him. Because, look, bye weeks are going to be upon us before we know it. Yep. I think he could be a very useful guy throughout that. Erickson, how about Jayden Reed for you? Because Jordan Love, I think, has played relatively well these first two games. Like, I think if you're the Packers right now, you got to be looking and saying, hey, we could win this division, because I think they can. I know they lost this week, but it was a close game. They were in it. It was on the road. I think, they go back home this week. What do you think about Jayden Reed?
I love Jayden Reed. Loved him coming out of Michigan. I thought that he was a player that checked off a lot of boxes, and the fact that he's producing right from the get-go, I'm not surprised. So he's stepping up without Christian Watson in the offense. He's a team-high 25% target share of the first 2 weeks of the season, and he's not even playing a full allotment of snaps because he's really limited to that slot role in the offense. But with Christian Watson coming back, that's going to impact more of the perimeter receivers, like the Wicks, like like Romeo Doubs. Like, that's kind of the targets he's looking at. And Christian Watson, like, yes, he's a super efficient receiver, but he's not like a volume hog, I would say. I would describe his style, where Jayden Reed, that's been Jordan Love's guy the last 2 weeks. Like, he's the underneath guy. He's making splash plays because he's fast. So I like Jayden Reed a lot. I would go up to like 10%. I want him on my roster because I think he's just showing off how good of a player he is. And I want those guys during bye weeks where, okay, maybe it doesn't always shape out to be the right thing in terms of targets, in terms of the matchup, but I know Jayden Reed is good. And through 2 weeks, that has been confirmed for me in the NFL. So I'm going to be more aggressive on Jayden Reed here. I like a 10% bid on him.
10, okay, I was going to ask you, so 10%, a little bit more. I'm a little closer to Erickson's price. I think with buys, he becomes a really intriguing wide receiver. And look, we're still waiting for Christian Watson, and who knows what the guarantees are when he's back healthy and how he looks. Rashid Shaheed, another guy, I know Debro and I yesterday talked about him quite a bit. I know he's playing tonight, so we'll see how it goes, but he is 45% rostered right now. Erickson, is Shaheed somebody, again, for that same concept of you want to build some wide receiver depth as we're going to start getting into buys in the next few weeks? Is this another guy you would have your eye on?
Yeah, I think so. Super efficient as a rookie, flashed in week one immediately, even though he wears an atrocious number 22 jersey. Like, I can't with these receivers wearing 20 numbers. Like,
it bothers me, but I'm glad you're saying it, because I'm always the old cranky guy here on the show. I don't like when these guys are wearing the numbers that aren't in the 80s at wide receiver.
It's horrible.
But 22 is terrible. I'm okay with the 11s and even the single digits, but 22 is ridiculous. Thank you.
It is atrocious. I thought it was Mark Ingram running a wheel route, and I was like, wait, what is that? Oh, wait, that's Rashid Shaheed. Sick. But, yeah, no, he's been flashing, and we know Michael Thomas is not necessarily someone you can rely on for the long term, so an injury to him, now you put Shaheed right alongside Chris Olave. And when we see these guys play together, we've seen Shaheed outproduce Chris Olave at times. Last year, he's obviously caught the touchdown last week, so I think that Shaheed, definitely a good bench stash for me. I'd probably put him at 10% as well.
Okay, another one. How about you, Fitz? Your feelings on Shaheed?
Yeah, I like him a lot. He is the third receiver in this offense, but, the Saints do have the easiest schedule in the NFL. They are not going to face a lot of lockdown defenses this year. So that's another thing going in Shahid's favor, and he really does pass the eye test. I mean, like, he had that off-the-charts efficiency, so, we stat nerds were digging Rashid Shaheed before this year, but, like, you watch him play, and the guy's just good. Like, he could be a starting receiver on most other teams, but, he's on a team that happens to have Chris Olave and Michael Thomas. But as a third wheel, like, he can still be fantasy viable. Like, I wouldn't feel wildly confident about putting him in my lineup right now, but boy, if anything were to happen to Thomas or Olave, I think he's like an auto start every week.
So what's your percentage on Sheed?
Oh, man. I could go like...
5?
Yeah, something like that. And if I were desperate at wide receiver, I'd be willing to go up to 7, 8, 9.
Let's take a quick break in the action to tell you about the best way to buy tickets this summer and all year round. I love live events. Everybody who follows me on social media knows that. I'm out at the wrestling shows, I'm out at the concerts, I'm out everywhere. And you get all these fees for all these events, and they suck. They just suck. You know it, I know it. Customer service is terrible. Coordinating with friends is just a hot mess. It's a nightmare. But then I discovered Fanimal. And the great thing about Fanimal is it's got tickets to everything. Concerts, festivals, basketball, baseball games, hockey games, and of course, NFL. And there's no fees. That's right, you heard me. No fees. The price you see is the price you actually pay. What a concept. Fanimal is the cheapest place on the internet to get tickets for anything you want to go attend. So we've all experienced how painful it is to coordinate events with friends. You always end up fronting a bunch of money, right? And then you're chasing down this guy or that girl to get reimbursed. And if they flake, then you're stuck with the bill. But not at Fanimal. No. At Fanimal, they have something amazing. They have the patented group purchase, and that makes it easy to split payments with your friends, so nobody's left holding the bag. You don't commit until your friends do. You just pick the seats, pick how many tickets you want, and you pay for yourself, not everybody else, and send the link to your friends to do the same. And when they join your group, everybody gets charged separately, and your tickets are secured. Plus, you could stack cash by inviting friends. $10 every time someone joins your group. Ka-ching! Let's go. Oh yeah, Fanimal has amazing customer service too. Don't forget about that. Take my word for it. Check out their hundreds of 5-star reviews, and next time you need tickets, go right to Fanimal.com or download the Fanimal app and use that promo code FANIMALPROS. That's Fanimal Pros for $20 off your purchase. No fees. Make it simple. Check out Fanimal today and experience more. And now back to the action.
No.
Marvin Mims, I'm going to make Erickson wait to talk about Marvin Mims because, Fitz, 21% roster for Mims. Look, 2 targets last week, 2 receptions for 9 yards. This past week, 2 targets, 2 receptions for 113 yards and a score. So a little different day for Marvin Mims. Obviously, we can talk about the Jerry Jeudy return, what that means. But is Mims somebody else at wide receiver that people should be paying attention to?
I don't think so, Joe. I mean, the snap and route participation, very minimal. Like, just didn't play much, and just happened to cash in big time on his opportunities in week 2. So unless they were to, and maybe Sean Payton does get desperate here with the Broncos 0-2 and sort of struggling on offense, unless there's some sort of major sea change, like where he decides to kick Cortland Sutton to the curb or something like that. Looks like golfing season's over. I just don't know that we're going to see enough of Mims for him to be fantasy viable.
How about you, Erickson? I know you were a fan of Mims going into draft season at the end, especially.
Like
do you think that he is somebody people should throw a couple bucks on?
Getting close.
I mean, he's wide receiver 5 in terms of snaps on the depth chart, so you can't trust that. Like, you're just praying that he does exactly what he did last week. But is that just because he's a rookie? Like, is that something that... Look, they're 0-2, so they've got to try to do some other things, right? But they didn't have Jerry Jeudy even playing a full allotment of snaps, and they were just like, no, we're not going to play Marvin Mims more. Like, and we saw it in the game. Like, they were winning because Marvin Mims was making plays. It's like, get on the bench. Like, this Denver offense is a mess right now. Like, it was super overvalued because of Sean Payton, like, coming in, like, my magic touch, ding, 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 and 2 weeks in, 0-2. Great. Lost to the Commanders and the Raiders. Like, are you serious? So, right now, I don't trust Sean Payton to get this offense going. Like, he is the one that's actually making me the most concerned about Mims' usage. And even, like, the running backs, like, all of it, it's just gross. So, for me, I just can't hold him on my bench until I see his snaps increase.
I mean, they were winning decisively at half, so maybe we should hang some on the defense a little bit, too. All right, so I just had a sip of Puka Juice. It was very good, by the way. It's very good. And in honor of the Puka Juice, let's talk about Tutu Atwell, because he's just 32% rostered, and I think he was I think he was that guy, Erickson, that everybody every year sees in week 1, and everybody goes, nope, that's the trap. I know this. The 2-2 Atwell can't possibly be a thing. Well, now it's 2 weeks, so Erickson at 32%, is this a guy people should be adding? Is 2-2 Atwell a thing?
I think that I'd still rather have a lot of the other guys we talked about, like Reed and Shaheed. Like, Atwell's been in the league for a while, and he really hasn't had a massive role, and I think that he's the one that's most likely to lose out when Cooper Kupp eventually returns to the offense. Like, we've seen Atwell be in the offense. He was kind of productive at the end of last year, so he's kind of carrying that over a little bit this year. I think that if you're looking to start someone, like, immediately, okay, I think that he kind of fits into that kind of Zach Moss mold, but more of at the wide receiver position. So you're just looking to kind of fill a hole. Because I think that his long-term outlook's probably not as great. Again, obviously like a Puka, where he's a rookie and he's immediately smashing.
Yeah.
Atwell's been in the league for a little bit, and I think he's kind of benefiting a little bit just from how fast-paced, how many plays the Rams are running. Like Matthew Stafford just like basically doing everything in his will to get this ball down the field to his receivers. So, I mean, I have to imagine like Higbee's going to see his targets increase eventually at some point, and that could hurt Atwell as well. But I think for right now, he's probably just a Band-Aid ad, the way that Fitz describes Zach Moss.
Well, man, this is a pretty good Band-Aid because this is 8 targets week 1, 9 targets week 2, 119 yards week 1, 77 last week. Fitz, your thoughts on Tutu Atwell? Should people be looking to add him, or to Erickson's point, is he more just I guess like a Band-Aid on that temporary situation if you're waiting on wide receivers to get healthy or start to produce?
Yeah, I'm surprised about how excited I am about Tutu Atwell because I'm a noted sizeist, especially in dynasty leagues with my wide receivers. And, you know, when you've got a guy who is 165 pounds, basically the size of my average-sized high school-age son, and
5'9", 165, I see right here.
And, I mean, this guy's usage has been terrific, and, like, I feel like it's going to stick, and Erickson makes a good point with his framing about, like, the short-term value versus the long-term value. But at the same time, I mean, they sent Cooper Kupp halfway across the country to see a specialist about his hamstring. Like, I am not under the illusion that Cooper Kupp is just walking right back in week 5 as soon as he's eligible to come off IR, good as new. I'm betting the over on a week 5 return. Like, I don't know what point it's going to be. I mean, it could be, like, November.
So give me the percentage on how aggressive do you want to bid on Tutu Atwell, because from your perspective you think this could be somebody that we're talking a month worth of productivity where Erickson's talking maybe a week or 2.
You could get him for 7 or 8 and I would not feel guilty about that expenditure. I love the way they've been using him. I love how like Sean McVay uses him on jet motion to get Tutu a running